There's something undeniably magnetic about a man who remains unshaken when chaos strikes. Picture this: while others crumble under pressure, he stands firm, calm, and in control. That's the power of Stoicism, and it's why Stoic men radiate an allure that's impossible to ignore. This ancient philosophy isn't just about enduring hardship, it's about mastering your emotions, sharpening your focus, and moving through life with unshakable confidence. Think of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who ruled with wisdom amidst war, or modern icons like Keanu Reeves, whose quiet strength captivates millions. Over the next few minutes, we'll uncover 20 traits that make Stoic men irresistibly attractive, from their unbreakable composure to their rare authenticity. Whether you're looking to embody these qualities or simply understand what draws people to them, this is your guide to the quiet power that turns heads and commands respect. Stick around, because by the end, you'll see why Stoicism isn't just a philosophy, it's a game changer. Now let's talk about the first and perhaps most striking trait: unshakable confidence. Stoic men don't just appear confident, they embody it from the inside out, and it all starts with their focus on what they can control. While others waste energy fretting over external opinions or unpredictable outcomes, a Stoic man channels his efforts into mastering his own actions, reactions, and mindset. This isn't about arrogance or pretending to have all the answers. It's about a quiet certainty that comes from knowing he can handle whatever life throws his way. Contrast this with insecure behavior like constantly seeking validation or overreacting to minor setbacks. Studies consistently show that confidence ranks as one of the most attractive qualities in a partner. Why? Because it signals stability, competence, and emotional security. Think of the way a Stoic man carries himself: steady eye contact, relaxed posture, measured speech. His body language alone communicates strength without needing to say a word. Visualize two men in a high-pressure situation. One is visibly flustered, checking his phone for reassurance, while the other remains composed, focused on solutions rather than distractions. Who would you trust more? Who would you naturally gravitate toward? That's the power of unshakable confidence, and it's no accident that Stoic philosophy cultivates it so effectively. By training their minds to focus only on what they can influence, Stoic men develop a presence that's both magnetic and deeply reassuring. Up next, we'll explore how this confidence ties into another key trait: emotional mastery. Because true strength isn't just about how you carry yourself, it's about how you navigate the storms within. Now let's shift our focus to emotional mastery, the second trait that makes Stoic men undeniably attractive. While confidence catches your attention, emotional stability is what keeps you drawn in. Stoic men don't just manage their emotions, they understand them, which means no dramatic outbursts, no emotional roller coasters, and certainly no neediness. Imagine facing a crisis, a sudden breakup, a job loss, or even a heated argument. While others might spiral into panic or anger, a Stoic man remains grounded. He doesn't suppress his feelings, he processes them with clarity, responding instead of reacting. Take the example of a Stoic navigating a breakup. Instead of drowning in self-pity or lashing out, he reflects on what he can learn from the experience. He acknowledges the pain but doesn't let it define him. This isn't cold detachment, it's emotional intelligence in action. And it's not just philosophy, psychology backs this up. Studies show that emotional stability is one of the top traits people seek in a partner. Why? Because it creates a safe, predictable space in relationships. No one wants to walk on eggshells, wondering when the next explosion might happen. Picture two scenarios. In one, a man loses his job and spends weeks venting his frustration at everyone around him. In the other, a Stoic man assesses the situation, updates his resume, and starts networking, all without dragging his loved ones into a storm of negativity. Which one would you rather lean on during tough times? That's the power of emotional mastery. It's not about being emotionless, it's about being in control. And that kind of stability, it's irresistible. Coming up, we'll dive into how this emotional foundation fuels the third trait, a purpose-driven life. Because when you're not ruled by fleeting emotions, you're free to pursue what truly matters. Now let's talk about purpose, the third trait that sets Stoic men apart. While emotional mastery keeps them steady, it's their sense of direction that makes them magnetic. Stoicism doesn't just teach resilience, it demands a life built on virtue and meaningful goals. Picture two men, one drifting through life, unsure of what he wants, and the other, a Stoic who wakes up each day with clarity. The difference isn't just ambition, it's the absence of ego. A Stoic man pursues excellence not to impress others, but because it's who he is. Think of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who ruled with humility despite his power. His journal, Meditations, wasn't about boasting achievement, it was a reminder to stay grounded in purpose. Modern Stoic-leaning figures, from athletes to entrepreneurs, echo this. They don't chase fame, they chase growth. Compare that to the lost man who hops from one trend to another, seeking validation. A Stoic's ambition is quiet but unshakable, like a compass pointing north. Here's why this matters in attraction. Purpose is contagious. When a man knows his values and acts on them, he inspires trust and admiration. He's not swayed by every opinion or setback because his goals are bigger than momentary drama. Studies show that purpose-driven people are perceived as more confident and dependable, qualities that deepen attraction. So, what's next? This foundation of purpose leads to something just as compelling: authenticity. Because when you're rooted in what matters, you have no reason to pretend. Now, let's shift to something even more compelling: authenticity. A Stoic man doesn't wear masks or play games. He embraces honesty even when it's uncomfortable, because integrity is non-negotiable. Think about the last time you met someone who was unapologetically themselves, no pretenses, no exaggerations. That kind of rawness is rare and it's magnetic. Dating apps prove this. Surveys show that genuineness consistently ranks as one of the top traits people look for in a partner. Why? Because authenticity builds trust. A Stoic man won't tell you what you want to hear just to win you over. He'll speak his truth, even if it's not the smoothest line in the room. Contrast that with a player who molds himself to fit every situation, spinning stories to impress. At first, the player might seem charming, but over time, the act wears thin. The Stoic, his consistency becomes his strength. Picture this scenario: you're on a date. The player drops rehearsed compliments, name drops, and laughs a little too hard at his own jokes. The Stoic, he listens more than he talks, asks thoughtful questions, and isn't afraid of silence. He's not performing, he's present, and that's the difference. One leaves you wondering what's real, the other leaves you feeling seen. This isn't just about dating. Authenticity shapes every interaction. A Stoic man's honesty in friendships, work, and even conflicts makes him someone people rely on. He doesn't waste energy keeping up appearances, so he's free to focus on what matters. And that's a trait that doesn't just attract, it lasts. So what's next? This unwavering honesty ties directly into another standout quality: high standards. Because when you're true to yourself, you don't settle for anything less than what aligns with your values. Now, let's talk about something that sets Stoic men apart in a world of quick fixes and shallow connections: their high standards. A Stoic man doesn't chase fleeting attraction or get swept up in temporary infatuations. He values substance over surface, and that's why he chooses partners wisely. This isn't about being picky, it's about recognizing what truly aligns with his principles. Seneca, one of Stoicism's greatest voices, wrote extensively about the importance of surrounding yourself with people who elevate you. He warned against the trap of chasing hollow validation or settling for relationships that drain more than they give. For a Stoic man, a partner isn't just someone who looks good on his arm, they're someone who shares his respect for honesty, growth, and mutual support. Think about the green flags Stoic men prioritize. They look for emotional maturity, integrity, and a willingness to face life's challenges head-on. They're not impressed by grand gestures or empty charm. Instead, they're drawn to depth, the kind of person who can hold a meaningful conversation, stand by their values, and build something real. This focus on quality isn't just about romance. It spills into every relationship, friendships, colleagues, even family dynamics. A Stoic man would rather have a small circle of trustworthy people than a crowd of fair-weather companions. He knows that toxic relationships, whether romantic or platonic, distract from his purpose and erode his peace. So he sets boundaries, walks away from what doesn't serve him, and invests only in connections that nurture his growth. And here's the beautiful part: this selectivity isn't rigid or cold. It's rooted in self-respect. By refusing to settle, a Stoic man not only protects his own well-being, but also inspires those around him to rise to the occasion. When you're with someone who knows their worth, it challenges you to know yours too. So what's next? This same discernment carries over into how Stoic men communicate, because when you value quality in relationships, you also master the art of listening. And that's where the real magic happens. Now, let's shift our focus to something that might seem simple but is incredibly rare: deep listening. In a world where everyone is half listening while scrolling or planning their next response, a Stoic man stands out because he truly hears you. This isn't just about being polite. It's a reflection of his mindfulness, a core Stoic practice that teaches him to be fully present in every moment. Think about the last time you talked to someone who was glued to their phone, nodding absent-mindedly while their eyes darted to notifications. Frustrating, right? Now, picture the opposite: a conversation where the other person isn't just waiting for their turn to speak, but is genuinely engaged, asking thoughtful questions, and picking up on the nuances of what you're saying. That's the power of Stoic listening. Stoicism trains the mind to focus on what's in front of it, free from distractions. For a Stoic man, a conversation isn't a transaction. It's an opportunity to connect, learn, and understand. He doesn't interrupt or dominate the discussion. Instead, he creates space for your thoughts because he knows that listening is just as important as speaking. This skill isn't just attractive, it's transformative. Studies show that active listening strengthens relationships, builds trust, and even makes people perceive you as more intelligent and empathetic. In dating, where so many people are desperate to impress or perform, a Stoic man's ability to listen quietly and deeply is a breath of fresh air. And here's the key difference: while others might listen to respond, a Stoic man listens to understand. He's not formulating his next argument or fishing for compliments. He's fully there, giving you the rarest gift in modern life: his undivided attention. So what's next? This same presence of mind carries over into how Stoic men handle adversity, because when you're grounded in the moment, even life's toughest challenges become easier to navigate. Now, let's talk about something that turns struggle into strength: resilience. There's something undeniably attractive about a man who doesn't just face challenges but rises above them with calm determination. Stoicism teaches that obstacles aren't setbacks, they're opportunities to grow stronger, and that mindset radiates a quiet confidence that draws people in. Think of athletes who push through injuries or entrepreneurs who pivot after failures. Their resilience isn't just impressive, it's magnetic. Why? Because it signals something deeper, an unshakable inner strength. Stoic men don't crumble under pressure, they adapt. They don't complain about unfairness, they focus on what they can control, and that kind of steadiness is incredibly appealing. Surveys back this up. Studies show that resilience ranks high on the list of traits people find attractive in a partner. It's not just about surviving hard times, it's about how you carry yourself through them. A Stoic man doesn't wear his struggles like a badge of victimhood. Instead, he meets adversity with a level head and a clear purpose, proving that toughness isn't about brute force but about emotional and mental fortitude. Consider the difference between someone who falls apart at the first sign of trouble and someone who stays composed even when things go wrong. One creates chaos, the other inspires confidence. That's the power of resilience. It doesn't just make you stronger, it makes you someone others want to stand beside. And here's the best part: resilience isn't a fixed trait. It's a skill honed through practice. Every challenge a Stoic man faces is another step in mastering it, another reason why his presence feels so grounding. So next time life throws a curveball, remember, it's not the obstacle that defines you, but how you rise to meet it. Speaking of rising, this same resilience ties into another key trait: how Stoic men handle drama, or rather, how they avoid it altogether. But that's a story for another moment. Now, let's shift gears to something we all crave but rarely find: peace. Picture this: a Stoic man standing calmly while someone else loses their cool over spilled coffee or a missed call. The contrast is almost comical, but it's also revealing. Stoic men don't just avoid drama, they dissolve it before it even starts. Why? Because they refuse to waste energy on things that don't matter. Think about the last time you saw someone overreact to a minor inconvenience. The raised voice, the exaggerated gestures, it's exhausting just to watch. Now imagine the opposite: a man who shrugs off delays, laughs at mishaps, and keeps his cool when plans fall apart. That's the Stoic approach. They've mastered the art of asking one simple question: will this matter in a week? If the answer's no, they let it go. Therapists call this emotional efficiency. Studies show that low-drama relationships are happier and longer-lasting because they're built on stability, not roller coaster emotions. A Stoic man doesn't ignore problems, he just refuses to turn molehills into mountains. That's why partners of Stoic men often say things like, "Being with him feels like a breath of fresh air." It's not that life stops throwing curveballs, it's that he doesn't swing at every pitch. And here's the kicker: this isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about choosing where to invest them. A Stoic man saves his energy for what truly deserves his attention: deep conversations, meaningful goals, and the people he cares about. The rest just background noise. So the next time you're tempted to sweat the small stuff, take a page from the Stoic playbook. Ask yourself, is this worth my peace? If not, let it roll off your back, because nothing's more attractive than a man who knows how to keep life simple. And speaking of simplicity, this ties perfectly into how Stoic men manage their time, but we'll save that for the next chapter. Now let's talk about something that might surprise you: time management. It's not exactly the first thing that comes to mind when you think of attraction, but hear me out. Stoic men don't just manage their time, they master it. While others are lost in endless scrolling or last-minute panic, a Stoic is focused, intentional, and oddly enough, that's incredibly appealing. Picture this side by side. On one side, you've got a Stoic man's day, waking up early with purpose, carving out time for what matters: exercise, reading, meaningful work, and saying no to distractions. On the other side, someone who hits snooze 5 times, rushes through the day reacting to every notification, and ends up exhausted but unfulfilled. The difference isn't just productivity, it's presence. A Stoic man isn't busy for the sake of being busy. He's deliberate with every hour because he knows time is the one thing you can't get back. And here's the twist: this kind of discipline is secretly attractive. Studies show that people who value their time are perceived as more confident and reliable, 2 qualities that top the list in dating surveys. It's not about being rigid or work-obsessed. It's about showing you respect your own life enough to live it well. Think about it: would you rather be with someone who's always frazzled and late, or someone who's got his act together? Stoics take their cue from philosophers like Seneca, who wrote, "It's not that we have so little time, but that we waste so much of it." They don't fill their days with mindless busy work or empty socializing. They choose depth over distraction, and that focus radiates into everything they do. Whether it's planning a date or pursuing a passion, they're fully there, not half checking their phone or mentally elsewhere. So the next time you're tempted to kill time, ask yourself, is this how I want to spend my life? Because nothing's more magnetic than a man who treats his time and yours like the precious resource it is. And this mindset doesn't stop at the clock. It spills over into another trait that's equally compelling: humble strength. But we'll get to that next. Now, let's shift our focus to something equally powerful but often overlooked: humble strength. Picture a man who doesn't need to announce his achievements or flex his accomplishments. Instead, his confidence is quiet, his competence undeniable, and his humility disarming. This is the essence of a Stoic man's humble strength. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, put it best when he wrote, "You could leave life right now." Let that determine what you do and say and think. For Stoics, humility isn't about downplaying their abilities, it's about recognizing how little any of it matters in the grand scheme. They know true strength doesn't need a spotlight. Think of the firefighters who rush into danger without fanfare, or the mentors who change lives without expecting applause. Their impact speaks for itself. What makes this so attractive? It's the contrast. In a world where so many are desperate for validation, posting every win, exaggerating every story, a Stoic man's quiet assurance stands out. He doesn't need to prove anything because he's secure in who he is. Studies show that humility is linked to trustworthiness and likability, two traits that deepen attraction. People are drawn to those who listen more than they boast, who act more than they advertise. And here's the key: humble strength isn't weakness, it's power under control. A Stoic man can handle challenges, lead with grace, and lift others up, all without making it about himself. That balance is rare, and rarity is magnetic. So the next time you see someone who lets their actions do the talking, take note. That's the kind of quiet confidence that leaves a lasting impression. And speaking of lasting impressions, let's talk about another trait that solidifies a Stoic man's appeal: financial discipline. But more on that in a moment. Now, let's talk about something that might not seem glamorous at first, but is undeniably attractive: financial discipline. A Stoic man understands that money isn't about flashy displays or reckless spending. It's about temperance, one of the core virtues of Stoicism. He knows that true freedom comes from control, not indulgence. Consider this: studies show that people with healthy savings habits are seen as more reliable and long-term oriented, qualities that rank high in attraction. On the flip side, excessive debt or impulsive spending often signals instability, a red flag for potential partners. A Stoic man avoids this trap. He budgets wisely, spends intentionally, and plans for the future without obsessing over material excess. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, put it simply: wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. This mindset shifts the focus from chasing external validation through purchases to cultivating inner contentment. A Stoic man doesn't buy things to impress others. He invests in what truly matters: experiences, growth, and security. Think about how refreshing that is. In a world where social media is flooded with luxury displays and flex culture, a man who lives within his means stands out. He's not swayed by trends or peer pressure. His financial discipline reflects his broader philosophy: focus on what you can control, let go of what you can't. And here's the best part: this isn't about being cheap or joyless. It's about prioritizing value over vanity. A Stoic man might splurge on a meaningful gift or a memorable trip, but he does it with purpose, not impulsivity. That kind of intentionality is magnetic. It shows he's thoughtful, grounded, and, let's be honest, a safe bet for the future. So the next time you see someone who handles money with calm and clarity, recognize the appeal. Financial discipline isn't just about numbers, it's a window into character. And speaking of character, let's move to another trait that deepens a Stoic man's allure: loyalty. But we'll get to that in just a moment. Now, let's shift our focus to something that goes beyond surface-level attraction loyalty. A Stoic man's commitment to virtue doesn't just shape his character, it also defines his relationships. In a world where ghosting and fleeting connections have become the norm, his steadfast loyalty stands out like a beacon. Stoicism teaches that integrity is non-negotiable. When a Stoic man commits to someone, he does so with intention. He doesn't vanish when things get tough or chase the next best option. Why? Because his philosophy values depth over distraction. He understands that true connection isn't about convenience, it's about consistency. Contrast this with modern dating's ghosting culture, where people disappear without explanation. It's a trend rooted in avoidance and impulsivity, the opposite of Stoic principles. A Stoic man rejects that. He communicates clearly, honors his word, and faces challenges head-on. That kind of reliability is rare and incredibly attractive. Take Sarah, who's been with her Stoic partner for over a decade. She puts it simply, "He's never once left me guessing." Even in disagreements, he stays present. It's not about being perfect, it's about showing up day after day. That's the power of Stoic loyalty. It's not flashy, but it's unwavering. And here's the deeper truth: loyalty isn't blind devotion. A Stoic man chooses his relationships wisely, aligning with those who share his values. He invests where it matters, proving that fidelity isn't just about staying, it's about growing together. In a landscape of disposable connections, that kind of commitment isn't just appealing, it's unforgettable. So, what's next? Let's explore how Stoicism shapes another timeless quality: the art of aging with grace. But we'll save that for the next chapter. Now, let's talk about something we all face but rarely discuss with confidence: aging. While society often treats getting older as something to fight or fear, Stoic men approach it with a quiet dignity that's undeniably magnetic. Stoicism teaches us that time isn't an enemy, it's a teacher. A Stoic man doesn't waste energy resisting the inevitable. Instead, he focuses on what he can control: his attitude, his actions, and the wisdom he gains along the way. This mindset transforms aging from a burden into an advantage. Picture two men in their 50s. One is constantly stressed about wrinkles or receding hairlines, chasing youth with expensive fixes and complaining about getting old. The other stands tall, his posture relaxed but purposeful, his expression calm. He doesn't hide his gray hairs, he owns them. That's the Stoic difference. Studies back this up. Research from the University of California found that people who embrace aging are perceived as more confident, approachable, and yes, even more attractive. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly." A Stoic man takes that to heart. He knows maturity isn't about losing vitality, it's about refining it. His laughter lines tell stories of resilience. His steady presence reassures others that life's challenges are manageable. And here's the secret: this grace isn't passive, it's a choice. While others dread birthdays, the Stoic man uses them as checkpoints. Am I wiser than last year? Kinder, more purposeful. That kind of intentional growth is irresistible because it's rooted in self-awareness, not vanity. So, what's next? Let's turn to another subtle but powerful trait: how Stoic men offer support without judgment. But that's a conversation for another moment. Now, let's shift our focus to something that can make or break any relationship: the way we offer support. Stoic men have a unique way of being there for others, not by fixing every problem, but by listening without judgment. It's a rare quality that turns ordinary conversations into moments of genuine connection. Imagine two different scenes. In the first, a woman comes home frustrated after a tough day at work. Her partner, a Stoic, sits quietly, lets her vent, and then simply says, "That sounds exhausting. What do you need right now?" No unsolicited advice, no, "You should have done this instead." Just presence. Contrast that with someone who immediately jumps in with, "Well, if you just followed my strategy, this wouldn't have happened." Which one feels safer? Which one makes you feel truly heard? Psychology backs this up. Studies show that people perceive partners as more trustworthy and emotionally secure when they offer support without criticism. It's about creating a space where vulnerability isn't met with solutions but with understanding. The Stoic approach aligns perfectly with what therapists call active listening, of validating feelings instead of dismissing them. Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." A Stoic man takes that to heart. He knows that sometimes the best support isn't about having all the answers. It's about letting someone feel seen, and that kind of emotional safety, it's magnetic. So, what's next? Let's explore how Stoic men balance kindness with unshakable boundaries, because being supportive doesn't mean being a pushover. But we'll save that for the next insight. Now, let's talk about something that sets Stoic men apart in conversations: their genuine curiosity. Unlike those who feel the need to dominate discussions with their opinions, Stoic men approach every interaction with a desire to learn. Picture 2 men at a dinner party. One interrupts others to explain things they already know, while the other leans in and asks, "That's interesting. How did you come to that conclusion?" Which one would you rather talk to? Stoics embrace intellectual humility, a trait that makes them endlessly engaging. They don't see questions as a threat to their ego, but as opportunities to grow. Think of Marcus Aurelius, who wrote in his private journal about the importance of learning from everyone, even those he disagreed with. That's the Stoic mindset. Wisdom isn't about having all the answers, but about seeking them relentlessly. Research from TED Talks on intellectual humility shows that people who ask thoughtful questions are perceived as more likable and trustworthy. It's not just about being polite, it's about recognizing that every person you meet knows something you don't. A Stoic man doesn't mansplain, he listens, probes, and connects, and that kind of openness, it's irresistibly attractive. So, what's next? Let's shift to how Stoic men carry themselves, because their physical composure speaks volumes before they even say a word. Now, let's shift our focus to something equally compelling: the way Stoic men carry themselves. Physical composure isn't just about posture, it's a silent language of confidence and control. Picture Clint Eastwood's iconic character's minimal movement, deliberate gestures, and an unshakable presence. There's a reason that kind of restraint draws people in. It signals strength without the need for theatrics. Stoic men understand this instinctively. Their movements are measured, never frantic or exaggerated. Whether it's a firm handshake, steady eye contact, or simply sitting with relaxed but intentional posture, every gesture communicates self-assurance. Body language experts call this quiet dominance, a blend of calm and command that's far more magnetic than flashy or aggressive displays. Studies show that people with controlled physicality are perceived as more competent and trustworthy. Think about it. Someone who fidgets or slouches might seem nervous or disengaged, while a person who moves with purpose exudes reliability. Stoics cultivate this through mindfulness, training themselves to stay present in their bodies. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to move with grace, not haste, a practice that turns everyday actions into expressions of inner discipline. And here's the best part: this isn't about being stiff or unapproachable. It's the opposite. A Stoic man's composure creates a sense of safety and stability, making others feel at ease around him. That subtle, grounded energy. It's undeniably attractive. Up next, we'll explore how gratitude, another Stoic superpower, elevates their charm in unexpected ways. Now, let's talk about a trait that might surprise you: gratitude. Stoic men don't just endure life, they appreciate it deeply, and that mindset radiates a unique kind of charm. Gratitude isn't about empty positivity. It's a deliberate practice of recognizing value in what you already have, and that shift in perspective is magnetic. Think about the last time someone genuinely thanked you. Didn't it make you feel seen and valued? Stoics take this further by making gratitude a daily habit. Marcus Aurelius began his mornings by listing things he was thankful for, from the people in his life to the simple fact of being alive. That ritual didn't just ground him, it shaped how he interacted with the world. Science backs this up. Studies show that people who keep gratitude journals are perceived as more attractive, not just because they're positive, but because they exude contentment. A Harvard study found that expressing gratitude strengthens relationships and even boosts physical attractiveness. Why? Because gratitude signals emotional maturity, a rare quality in a world obsessed with what's next. Here's a simple Stoic exercise. At the end of each day, write down 3 things you're grateful for. It could be as small as a good meal or as profound as a friend's support. Over time, this practice rewires your brain to focus on abundance, not lack, and that shift, it's contagious. People are drawn to those who carry that kind of light. Next up, we'll dive into how Stoic men set boundaries, not with coldness, but with a clarity that actually deepens connections. Now, let's shift our focus to something equally powerful: boundaries. Stoic men understand that kindness doesn't mean being a pushover. They set limits with warmth, not walls, and that balance makes them incredibly appealing. Picture this: a coworker asks you to take on yet another late-night project. A Stoic man doesn't sigh and resentfully agree, nor does he snap with irritation. Instead, he responds with calm clarity. "I appreciate you thinking of me, but I can't commit to this right now. Let's find another solution." That's the magic of boundaries without coldness. Therapists call it assertive communication, the sweet spot between passive compliance and aggressive pushback. It's about respecting your own needs while still valuing the relationship. Studies show that people who set healthy boundaries are seen as more confident and trustworthy, 2 traits that skyrocket attraction. Here's why it works. Stoics focus on what they control: their own actions and responses. They don't let guilt or fear dictate their choices. Epictetus put it perfectly: it's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. When a Stoic man says no, he does it with such quiet conviction that people don't feel rejected. They feel respected. Try this Stoic exercise. The next time you need to set a boundary, pause. Ask yourself, am I acting from fear or principle? Then communicate with honesty and empathy. You'll notice how people respond not just to your words, but to the strength behind them. Coming up, we'll explore how Stoic men stay true to their values no matter how the world around them shifts. Now, let's talk about something that sets Stoic men apart in a world full of shifting sands: their unwavering consistency in values. While others chase trends or change their stance based on popular opinion, a Stoic man stands firm in his principles. Imagine scrolling through dating profiles. One person's bio changes weekly, reflecting whatever's trending, while another's stays steady, grounded in clear, timeless values. Which one feels more trustworthy? This isn't just about stubbornness. Stoics cultivate a deep sense of integrity by aligning their actions with their core beliefs. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." That's the Stoic approach: less talk, more living by example. Polls consistently show that reliability ranks high in attraction. People crave partners who are predictable in the best way, who won't flip-flop when life gets tough. Think about it: when a man's values don't bend with the wind, it signals strength of character. He's not swayed by peer pressure or fleeting emotions. Whether it's loyalty, honesty, or respect, his principles are non-negotiable. This doesn't mean he's rigid. Stoics adapt to circumstances, but their moral compass stays fixed. Here's the takeaway: consistency isn't about being boring. It's about being someone others can count on, a rock in chaotic times, and that kind of steadiness. It's magnetic. Up next, we'll dive into how Stoic men inspire those around them simply by being who they are. No gimmicks, no pretenses. Now, let's explore the final and perhaps most compelling reason Stoic men stand out: their ability to inspire simply by being who they are. Picture someone who doesn't just talk about growth but lives it, whose quiet determination lights a fire in those around them. That's the power of a Stoic's inspirational presence. Take the story of James, a teacher who embraced Stoicism after a personal setback. Instead of crumbling, he used the philosophy to rebuild, not just his life, but the lives of his students. He didn't preach, he led by example. His calm during challenges, his refusal to blame circumstances, and his relentless focus on solutions turned his classroom into a hub of resilience. Years later, former students still credit him for shaping their mindset. That's the ripple effect of a Stoic man's influence. Stoics like James don't seek applause. Their magnetism comes from a growth mindset, the belief that obstacles are opportunities, that effort trumps talent, and that every day is a chance to improve. This isn't just attractive, it's contagious. Studies show that people surrounded by growth-oriented individuals are more likely to adopt the same traits. In other words, Stoic men don't just elevate themselves, they lift others. So here's a question to leave you with: who inspires you? Is it someone who shouts their virtues or the one who embodies them silently? The Stoics' lesson is clear. True inspiration isn't about grand gestures. It's about showing up day after day as your best self and letting that example speak for itself. And with that, we've covered all 20 reasons Stoic men radiate attraction. But remember, this isn't about changing who you are to impress others. It's about becoming the kind of person you'd admire starting today. Which Stoic trait resonates most with you? Share your thoughts below. Now, let's bring it all together. Picture this: confidence, check; emotional mastery, check; purpose, authenticity, high standards, every box ticked. From deep listening to resilience, from gratitude to boundaries, Stoic men don't just possess these traits, they live them. And that's what makes them undeniably magnetic. But here's the real takeaway: Stoicism isn't a performance, it's a path. Whether it's the calm you cultivate or the loyalty you embody, these traits aren't about attracting others, they're about becoming someone you respect. Imagine looking in the mirror and seeing the kind of person who handles chaos with clarity, who turns setbacks into stepping stones, who inspires without even trying. That's the power of Stoicism. So here's your challenge: pick one trait, just one. Maybe it's mastering your emotions, or maybe it's setting unshakable boundaries. Whatever it is, commit to it this week. Small steps, big impact. And when you feel that shift, when you notice people leaning in a little closer, listening a little harder, remember, it's not about them. It's about you. Drop a comment below and tell me, which Stoic trait are you working on first? Let's grow together. And if this video resonated with you, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and ring the bell so you never miss a lesson in living well. Until next time, stay stoic.